Okay, I've started the recording for those that couldn't make it. And hopefully my screen, for those of you that are on your computer, you can see my screen in case I want to show you something on the screen. And I'm looking for... Okay, let's open it up. Let's open it up for questions. Who wants to be first?
Oh, I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the MemGram chart, this is Kate.
This is who?
Kate.
Okay, Kate.
On the MemGram chart, it has the ages of the trauma, and then you have the cause trauma. What if you have no memory of your childhood?
Kate, do you happen to have 15? 15 is the hypothalamus. Do you happen to have 15 somewhere in your chain?
I have the no, I have the 21, 22, and then the cause is 20.
Okay. No, I mean, does the number 15 show up anywhere in your chain?
No.
On your MemGram chart at the very top.
Right. No, I have 10, 5, 21, 22, 17, 12, and 3.
Okay. I don't have your chart in front of me, so it's very likely it's very likely that if 15, which is the hypothalamus, let me just show you that here. Okay. On your screen right now is the MemGram organ and gland key. It just shows you what each of the organs or group of organs has a number. And when I'm saying does 15, which is right here, let me see if I can get a. All right, so it's right there. 15 is the hypothalamus and the senses. All right. Usually when somebody says, geez, I have a hard time remembering my childhood, normally 15 shows up somewhere in your chain, otherwise known as the organ trauma sequence. And the 15, the hypothalamus, represents the higher energy connection. It represents your intuition. It represents your ESP. It represents knowing without seeing.
Right.
And then probably having some kind of evidence show up in your life that, yep, I was right all along, all right? Or if it's in your chain, you probably don't ever get that evidence, or there's a long delay and you're miserable because you think you know something, but you're not really sure, and it's hard to prove it, and everybody else thinks you're crazy, and so forth. So if you don't have 15 showing up in your chain, then I'll bet you that if you look for, in your chain, look for descending sets of organs, either 2 descending or, oh good, Lisa just brought me Kate's chart. So I don't want to take up time, though, to do this manually here. But if you look for descending orders, like, for example, Kate, you have 20 going to 10 and then 5. Okay, 20, 10, and 5. So if you add those up, that would be 35, and divide by the number of organs, or 3, which in that case would be 11. I'll bet you anything that if you do that somewhere in your chain, that you're going to find that the average of a group of descending organs is very possibly 15. Okay, so 15 is actually there in your chain, or it's what we call a subliminal when you group these organs together. Well, wherever it appears in your chain, see, each organ that is in your chain has an age at which you were when it appeared, when it so-called blew up, all right? And wherever 15 appears, then at that age is when most often it's like a curtain coming down, and it's very difficult for you to see back beyond that. Everything gets fuzzy and foggy and whatever. All right. So even if 15 is not in your chain, even if you don't have any subliminal 15s showing up in your chain, it doesn't really matter. The answer to your question is, the question was, what if I just can't remember my past? It doesn't matter. The answer is it doesn't matter, because the process of MemGram processing is going to do its thing. Now, the more that you can't recall the past is all the more reason for you to be using the SPRX, which are these little formulas that we have that it depends upon what organs are in your 3 key positions. That will help dredge up this stuff and the MemGram processing, because remember, you're tied up into a knot, whether it's some emotional knot, it's a financial knot, it's a social knot, it's a physical knot with physical problems. Whatever your knot is, it got tied up all in a certain way. And what MemGram processing is going to help you do is that it gives us the path. It gives us the path to untying the knot in the exact reverse order in which it became tied. That is so important. I can't say that enough. Okay. So the fact that you can't remember, it just means that you need to be sure taking the SPRX and just let MemGram processing do its thing. Don't worry about it. I guarantee you it'll work. All right.
I have one more question.
Yes.
In the trauma, I do know at 2.5, my older brother drowned me, and that's not on the trauma.
Okay. Is this Katie in?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Lisa just showed me that where I could see who it is that was talking. You wouldn't have to ask. All right. Well, that's kind of interesting, Kate, because you see how you have 20, 10, and 5. In are your first cause organ is 20, and that, which is the pancreas and solar plexus, and then 10 is your thyroid. Which has a lot to do with anxiety and stuff. And then 5 is your anterior pituitary, which has a lot to do with focus and control of space and being able to see reality for reality's sake. All right. If you take 20, 10, and 5 together, that's a descending order, so it's like a pot of soup. All right. So 20, 10, and 5 is 35. And then divide by 3, because there's 3 organs, to find out the average. The average is 11. Okay, you always round down in this work. So the average is 11. So we have what we call a subliminal 11 sitting there. Your cause is influenced by and is involved with 11, which is, if you look on the chart I still have on the screen, 11 is the veins and arteries of the lower extremities. Okay? Well, it just so happens that veins and arteries has to do with flow. It has to do with liquid, okay, or the stopping of the flow, okay. In other words, water. All right. And then if you look at 21 in your core, 21 is right here. It is. It's the posterior pituitary, and the posterior pituitary is involved with the water balance. It controls the water balance in the body, which is why one of the emotions that's associated with the posterior pituitary is grief. Okay, because it has to do with tears. Okay, so there's a big influence here with water being. If you remember, if you were on one of the teleclasses a while back where I talked about the banana peeling, little Johnny. Okay, well, part of your banana peeling, part of the invisible belief system that your cells have is that drowning, or the whole feeling of suffocation and the whole business of having to have water involved is the key thing. So there you go.
Okay. Okay.
That was a long answer to a short question. Okay, who's got a new question?
Yeah, Gary, hi, this is Dr. Vera. I'm
Yes.
glad to be attending. I was just wondering how many people attending this webinar have experienced MemGram processing?
Okay, judging from I was looking to see who's on to see if I could answer that, but it looks like we may be dealing with maybe 50%.
Yeah, because some of what you're speaking to and answering the gal's question, I think it was Kate Campbell you were talking to, some of the responses to her question may not make any sense to the other 50% who have never been exposed or experienced this. So I was thinking maybe it would be helpful to give an overview for those who might benefit from that.
Lisa just corrected me and told me that she reviewed the list, and she told me that everybody on the call has at least had the orientation.
Okay, great.
Except for Suzanne, and she'll know who she is. So according to her, it's more like 99% have experienced several sessions or at least the orientation. So.
Okay.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah. Also, in you're presenting organ 15 as preventing someone from recognizing, past experiences. I think organ 17 and 21 also will block perception. I think once you had mentioned that organ 15 is like a brick wall, not being able to see past it. Organ 17 is like having a curtain drawn around you, and organ 21 is like a thick fog. So if you have any of those in your chain, you may have the difficulty that Kate was describing.
Have those numbers.
Yeah, and it's important to note here that your ability to recall your past has nothing to do with how well MemGram processing is going to work or not work for you.
Right.
No, in fact, and another thing to take note of is, when you're doing MemGram processing, you're peeling layers off. And so with every layer, you're going to gain greater insight. And I've had the experience with clients that they start out saying, I have no idea what this is all about. And then after the third or fourth session, the light comes on, and then they have so much to say about what it was that they previously had no idea.
So true. Okay, questions? No questions. All right. Well, I'm going to do a little review then. If you have a question, I'm trying to see if there's some way for you to raise your hand on the interface here. The GoToMeeting interface. I guess. Okay, you can chat. If you notice, there's a chat. A lot of you are already using it. The one thing I don't like about this interface already is it's so dang small. I can only see about one message at a time. That sucks. All right, Suzanne's finally online. All right, so let's. I guess what we'll do here is, if you have a question, enter it in the chat, and I will monitor this chat here thing, and then I'll stop and answer the question. All right. On your screen here, you'll see what we refer to as the quick reference chart, and because it's the three key positions that are in your chain. So all of you, except perhaps Suzanne, have your chain, and you know what your chain is, and you'll notice that. Let me see if I can call this up.
Yep, there it is.
Okay. if you see this, all right, here's a MemGram chart, and you'll notice that no matter how many organs you end up with in your chain, there's 24 organs or glands. No matter how many organs that you end up with, you'll see that there's always three bold things. These are the three key positions that we're most interested in. The first one that we're most interested in is whatever ends up in the middle. This is what's called the core, and it's because whatever is in the core represents what we call the core dichotomy. Now remember, the physical dimension exists because of the law of dichotomies. So male, female, hot, cold, day, night, so on and so forth. All right. So everything's a dichotomy. So if there's a plan for your life, then there has to be one against it. All right. If there isn't one for it, then there isn't one against it. So that's just how it works. So in the core tells us then who it is that you really are, or your soul pattern, that from which you emanate, and then which we call the soul pattern, or who you really are. And that means then there is a stress pattern. So we can predict either way. You can predict, if you know what your stress pattern is, then you automatically know what your soul pattern is, because it's exactly the opposite. Okay? So it's fairly simple, actually. This person here has 9 in the core, which is bones and muscles. And the bones and muscles have a lot to do with locomotion, has a lot to do with movement or lack of it, a lot to do with pain or anguish. If it's mental pain, then it would be what we would call anguish. But 9, right away, I know that who this person is. This person has a really hard life. Everything seems to take twice as long, twice as much work as their friend. Just everything. If they're going to pull it off, then it's just work. Okay, and so that's the stress pattern. And the reason that your life is like that is because of right down here. I'm here to learn what it feels like to be who I'm not. That's why you're here. You're here to learn what it feels like to be who you're not. The problem is that the system that is set up so well to teach you that, pretty soon it works so well that you forget that you're not that person. In other words, the younger we are, the more we're able to put up resistance and fight it, and we end up dumping a lot of hormones into the bloodstream in order to compensate. Okay, so the whole aspect here of the MemGram really revolves around whatever it ends up in this core, because this is like the book of your life. Okay, somebody writes a book, and somebody else comes along and they say, oh, well, let's make a movie out of this book. Okay, well, the movie of the book is what you call your life, but in order for there to be a movie, then you have to have somebody has to play the characters, and people sign on to be mom, and they sign on to be dad, and I'm not saying they consciously do this. I'm just saying that this is what happens. All right, and then you have the person that caused you all that pain in grade school, and you were abused by somebody, and everybody signs on in order, but it's all because of whatever's in your core. So it's the soul pattern versus the stress pattern. So the cause position then is what we call the cause dichotomy. And it's the beginning of your chain. It's where it all started. So you see on the one I have on the screen, we say here, we even tell you when it started for you, age 8. Well, anytime we say age, we mean 2 years on either side. So in this case, between 6 and 10. Okay, so the misery manifested somewhere between the ages of 6 and 10 for this individual. And it's the cause dichotomy. And the cause dichotomy is simply the mind's desire versus the body's addiction. So in other words, your body, or your cells, your body is always addicted to exactly the opposite of what your mind desires. Well, that sounds crazy. But when we realized this years and years ago, we began to understand, and we didn't necessarily know why, but it became very obvious that, well, I mean, even Paul said it somewhere in Corinthians or something or other, something about, my mind wants to do this, but my body does that, or whatever. Maybe somebody who's more well-versed in that can come up with the exact language, but you could even look it up. So this concept has been around a long time. So the question I had was, well, why? Why? What purpose does this solve? Everything serves a purpose. So why? Why do people run around and say, well, geez, I did that, but I wanted to do that, and whatever. So we have the cause, the dichotomy. All right, your body, the cells are addicted to exactly the opposite of what your mind desires. Okay, mind's desire. Where does mind desire come from? Why do we? Is this something that we look up and that we choose? We wake up one day and we say, okay, my mind's desire for my life is going to be blah blah blah. No, it doesn't happen that way. It's because mind's desire, you'll notice, is on the same top half of this block as I'm going to try something here. Let me try something. No, I guess I'm not. Okay. Oh, I see. If I bring it over here, I see it. All right, that's why I was trying to find that little booger. All right. You'll notice that mind's desire is on the same top half of the box as the soul pattern is. All right. It's because mind's desire is there because of your soul pattern, because of who you really are. It's there because by default, that's the way you would like your life to be. The reason why you would like your life to be like that is because that is who you are. And so immediately then, it means that you're going to have people and places and circumstances and events in your little movie of life that come and make it as difficult as possible for you to be or do or have who you really are. All right. And then that sets you up for what we refer to as the body's addiction. And all the body's addiction is that because when you were young, in this case, this individual at age 8, all right, something happened that was contrary to this person's mind desire. Life wasn't going the way that you wanted it to go. Mom said no, or dad said no, or whatever the case is, whatever. It doesn't take much when we're young. Now we can look back at traumas and say, oh, that was stupid. I felt that way. Stupid I took that personal, blah, blah, blah. But back at that time, it's a big deal, and the hormones are raging. So something big that was really contrary to the way you wanted your life to be going, okay, happened. And that was extremely stimulating to the cells. And the cells don't know good from bad. They only know much or little. In other words, there's no qualitative thing about it. It's just like good is a lot and bad is not so much. So the hormones are being dumped. Anytime you're resisting life, anytime something is happening to you that is upsetting, uncoordinating, unbalanced, it's what we refer to as the 17, throwing a monkey wrench into your works, okay, in order to get past that, in order for it so that you don't blow up, literally, you dump hormones into the blood. The glands work together, and they figure out what hormones do we need here to bring this body, this chemistry back into balance. They dump the hormones into the bloodstream, and the hormones are extremely stimulating to the cells, and the cells think, whoopee, there's a party going on. I like it. Mikey likes it. Okay? And then that confirms to the cells that they did the right thing, and then they go to work because they are part of this electromagnetic pattern that goes out from all of us, and they go to work trying to set it up so that we can once again attract the PPCE in order for it to happen all over again. I'm sorry, I'm reading the reading the chat here. Okay, so therefore, that is why the body is addicted to exactly the opposite of what the mind desires, because when you're having an experience that is contrary to the way you want your life to be, when you don't understand about the MemGram, you don't know there's a pattern, you don't know there's really a plan for your life, and blah, blah, you're just reacting and working with it, then you experience it, you dump the hormones because you're resisting it, the hormones stimulate the cells, that confirms to the cells, whoop-de-doo, there's a party going on, and it gets to work on the next one. So you can see that this person here, I need to get rid of my little booger here. How do I get rid of him? There we go. Okay, you'll see here that this person says here 9 traumas. So the number of traumas that you have on your chart indicates the number of times that you have re-experienced an experience. It'll involve different PPCE every time, because if it was the same thing happening all over again, you notice how it would be very easy for you to see the pattern. It would be very easy for you to understand, whoa, this thing happened all again. But it changes the PPCE so that you can experience the feeling all over again, and you're not able to put 2 and 2 together. You're not able to put the pieces. The stress pattern wants the pieces to remain pieces. They don't want you to be able to see and look at it together as a whole puzzle. So in this person here, for example, it happened at age 8, then something happened again about 2 years later at age 10, and then 13, and then age 15, and then what we call a double whammy at 17. If your chart shows multiple ages, like this person has 2 17s and what we call a quadruple whammy at 31, then those are very intense times. And what it is that you don't get it the first time around. It works so well. The stress pattern, alias the dragon or drag on your life, doesn't want to put any more effort into helping you learn what it feels like to be who you're not than it has to. All right. So if it works really well and you didn't get it, and it looks like you could be hit with the same thing again and get another hormone dump and another hormone dump, another hormone dump, then you'll have multiple ages. It's kind of like you're just slow to get it. You know, you're an easy mark, in other words. So if you see these multiple ages, then that is what happens. And then also, I don't have the rest of the report here on this particular person, but here we got 10 and 3s, 5, 7. All right. So then there's likely another thing that you want to look for in your trauma ages is whether you have any black holes. And let's see if you can see here, there's a big gap here between age 17 and 31. All right. It looks like this. It looks like this cycle. Each of you have a cycle. In other words, a cycle is the maximum period of time that your cells can go before they need another fix. Okay, Dr. Vera says that this person's is a 2-year cycle. All right. I don't know how she figured that out. All right. Anyway, but there's a maximum period that your cells can go. It's just like a cocaine addict. You know, you only have this is whatever happened back here in the beginning for you. You know, those cells, they want to feel that. They want to, you know, if they could feel it every day, whatever, they would. But you know, it takes time to put together a whole scenario for you. And so it looks like this person's is probably maxing out at about 10 years or so. So you'll notice here you have 0 to 10, you have 10 to 13, 13 to 15, 15 to, but look at this, 17, age 17, and then the next one isn't until age 31. Okay, that's a 14-year gap. You know, even without being able to see what their cycle is, which the practitioner, your certified MemGram processor has a report that tells them all this stuff. You don't have to look it up. The 17 to 31, this 14-year gap, more likely is what we could refer to as a black hole. And what that means is that if you have a black hole on your MemGram chart, something deep and dark and manipulative is sitting in that time zone. that may be just as, it may even be more dark and more sinister and more manipulative and more controlling than anything that we're discussing on the chart. See? And but yet it's not there. So that's telling us we should not go there. It's not in the exact reverse order in which it became tied. And this is the thing, this is one of the reasons why or I should say, this is what all other modalities have in common. You know, I mean, my gosh, there's a ton of them out there. You know, there's Touch for Health, and there's probably tapping, and there's chanting, and there's you could go on for probably an hour listing all the different therapies, all the different and they all have one thing in common. They go to what appears to be the intensity, the charge, that which comes up. Okay, and almost always in that kind of information is in this black hole. And the one thing that we see when we do charts on people who have done a lot of self-improvement work, they've done a lot of other techniques and therapies and whatever, and of course they're still searching. What we find is we find just black holes all over the place, because when you deal with a trauma, when you deal with a situation out of sequence, you drive it deeper. And we will see that on the chart as a black hole. Okay, I'm reading.
I can tell you, Gary, how I came up with the 2 to 3 year pattern on this. If you look at the cause age, it's age 8. That's the first time this pattern appeared.
Okay.
2 years later, at age 10, it shows up in the trauma ages.
All right.
From age 8 to age 10 is 2 years.
Yep.
And then from age 10 to age 13 is 3 years.
Okay.
And then from age 13 to 15 is 2 years.
All right.
And then from age 15 to 17 is 3 years. So it's a 2 year, 3 year, 2 year, 3 year pattern.
Right.
Then at age 17, between age 17 and 31 was your black hole. It's a 14-year
Right.
black hole.
Right.
Now, I bet if you looked at the stress pattern chart for this report for this individual, you'd see the ages between age 17 and 31 take on this 2 to 3 year pattern.
Right.
That presents itself at the start.
Right. The rule is, for the rest of you, Dr. Barrow already knows this, but the rule is that if it's a 2 to a 3 year cycle, you double the longest cycle, in this case 3 years. You double the 3, which becomes 6, okay, which means that what we're looking for is anything greater than a 6-year difference between the trauma ages. So the 10, the 13, the 15, the 17, that all fits, 3 years, 2 years, 2 years. But the 17 to 31 is 14 years, way more than the 6-year cycle in which the person needs to fix. Somebody wrote here, what about if one appears at your current age but do not know the trauma? Okay, would be, all right, so I guess the question is, correct me if I'm wrong, Kate, your question is, what if your black hole is showing up at your current age? But you do not know what the trauma would be, all right? Well, that's actually good, because remember, we don't deal with black holes. Black holes mean they're in a layer somewhere beneath this layer. When you get your first MemGram chart, we refer to that as level 1. You can kind of think of it as layers of an onion, where you're on this outer layer, and we have certain information displayed in a particular order here, so that we would start with trauma age 31 and work our way backwards, okay? And what that does is that peels off this layer. Well, once you peel off that layer and we get your new chart, which we refer to as level 2, then very likely for this individual right here, there will be an explosion of information. Her new chart is going to have ages that are between 17 and 31, okay? And it also may not. It may still be a black hole. It means that we haven't stripped enough layers off to get there yet. All right.
Yeah, but you have to be following the same dragon, Gary, correct? S1, S2,
Yeah,
M1,
that's why it's very rare that we would ever shift.
Yeah.
The only I don't think I want to get into that on this call. But except to say that the only way that we would shift dragons would be if we were dealing with some physical crisis showed up, and we had been dealing with the S1, then it's very possible that we might shift to an M1, but we don't like to do that.
Yeah, another thing, Gary, that I've discovered in working this system is when you're looking at the chain, if you'll scroll up a little bit, this individual that you're displaying has only 11 organs in the chain. Now, a healthy chain is 12 organs. You would expect to see each energy meridian channel represented, and this one only has 11. So there's some suppression, and when you have organ trauma sequences that are less than 12, then you're likely to see a black hole because there's some suppression there, and some information is not being revealed. It's being withheld because you're missing a channel.
Yeah. Also, you'll notice that there is a 9 and a 1 here. 9 is the bones and muscles, pain. 1 is the thymus, aggression, the need to be protected, so forth. And whenever you have a 9 and a 1 in your chain, whatever is between the 9 and 1 is what's referred to as a withhold. And especially if it's in this case where you see where the whole I may be getting a little bit too technical here for the newbies,
the
but
side is missing information. There's information that's missing.
Yeah, so you've got 4, 7, 19, and 22. That's all ascending. You have all ascending organs in between the descending 9 and 1. And anytime that organs are ascending, it's like you're being victimized by life. You're not hitting it head on. You're not. All right, somebody's got something in the background. I really don't want to have to mute everybody.
Hello.
So if it's you, please turn down whatever music or whatever there is there.
You can mute your individual input on the top menu there, the little green icon with the microphone. If you click on that, it'll mute your input. So.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? You want me to keep on going here? All right. So the third key position then is your present day. Okay. So present day. If we're tied up into a knot, then whatever is in the present is referred to as the effect, the present effect dichotomy, which is I do want it, but I don't get it, or I don't want it, but I do get it. And the reason that the present effect is there is basically for one thing, and that is remember that it's cause. All right, it's cause. Let me go back to my thingy. Okay, it's cause to effect, and back again. So it's like the gerbil on a wheel. Okay, what the stress pattern wants you to do, how it works against you, is the plan against your life, is that it wants you to have the cause, but it doesn't want you to be able to ever know that this is really the reason why this invisible belief system is really the reason why your life isn't the way you want it to be totally. Okay, so what it does is that what you see is whatever's over here. So whatever is over here in your present effect organ and the emotions that are associated with it, okay, is a trigger. But the stress pattern wants you to think that this is who and what you need to be reacting to and responding to, and it's supposed to have your attention on this and whatever. Once you learn about your MemGram, the more sessions that you do, the more levels that you do, the more that you understand, then you become immune to this. You no longer take this stuff personally. You expect it. You know why it's there. It's because of what happened all the way back here. The people, the places, the circumstances are different, but I'll be doggone if I don't feel the same way about this as I felt back there when I was 8. So in reality, nothing has ever really changed. I've just grown older. Okay, so the beauty of MemGram processing is the immunity that you develop to dumping hormones over what it is that is going on. You have a higher level understanding of what used to be traumatic, crisis, pain in the ass, people, places, circumstances, events. You took it personal. Why me? Poor me. If only. You become immune to all that stuff because everything that happens right now, you're able to better and better relate it to what happened back here, which destroys the stress pattern's ability to produce pain and suffering and anguish, and you quit dumping the hormones. Now, I don't want anybody to think that this happens overnight. It may not even happen with one chart, but the more levels that you do and the more that you process, you see, if you knew everything about your past, and I'm not saying this life, I'm saying if you knew where you came from, why people are here, why humans are here, why your mom and dad were here and their mom and dad and whatever, all the way back, why is the earth here and why is the planets around? If you knew, the more you know about your past, the more powerful you are. The more wealthy you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be, the more romance you're going to have in your life, the more wellness you're going to have instead of sickness. It's because you don't know that you're being controlled, that life is not the way you want it. All right.
Gary, I'd like to interject something here.
Sure.
In addition to knowing, see, I've had an experience with clients will know the information is available to them through their process. They have the chart, they have the information through the sessions, but yet they don't. They fail to recognize the key component is they see the information, they know it, but they don't apply it.
Right.
Like an individual might know that they're experiencing unhappiness now because at some point in their past they disconnected, but yet they continue to respond in the same emotional pattern. So they haven't yet made the choice to choose and respond differently. So it's not just knowing. You have to effectively and efficiently discharge the emotion that has set this pattern in place.
Yeah, it's what we refer to as making the physical move. Okay? Nothing really happens until your body, you control your body, you make your body do what you want it to do at a particular time based on what you have in your mind. Makes all the difference in the world. Question. Oh, good. We got a question here. Question. Is there any way to tell how one's MemGram has aged them or caused an illness or disease, etc.? Or is there a way to know it will cause something specific in the future? The answer to both questions is definitely yes. Now, we not only are looking at emotions when we're looking at this chain, but we're also looking at organs that, for example, this person doesn't have it. Don't know whether the other one would be, but a lot of times where we're dealing with weight issues, the number 10, which is the thyroid, will be somewhere, on the present side, or the number 4. Here's the number 4. 4 is the stomach and small intestines. And what that ends up telling us is that, see, you have to remember, the organs are compromised. We talk about it in terms of emotions because that's probably how we ended up with the organs being compromised. That there's a relationship there. But it's possible to use the MemGram chart from the metabolic perspective to see how it is that we develop this particular disease. Why do I have this arthritis? Why do I have this ulcer? Why do I have this stomach cancer? Why do I have this colon cancer, organ 3? You know, how, because remember, the body is just a crystallization of what goes on between the ears. So that's, or will cause something specific in the future. Yes, it's because your past is your present, is your future. Unless you're MemGram processing, you're on a gerbil wheel. The people and places and circumstances and events are changing, but you're revolving between cause to effect, to cause to effect. Effect becomes a cause, and then cause to effect, cause to effect. If you look at your chain, the chain is actually a circle. So if we bring this 15 around here and put it here, so the 1 bangs into 15 and the process starts all over again. Okay? In reality, your chain is happening with every breath. But it's impossible to analyze something that's that compressed. This is how the stress pattern gets it past you, gets it by you. Okay? So but if it's happening with every breath, then it's also happening over a lifetime, and so we are able to stretch this breath out to give us an idea of this is where you were and this is where you are today, and the whole cycle begins all over again. So it's going to happen. This person here, 22 and 1. Anytime I see a 22 and 1, this person gets stabbed in the back. 22 is the parathyroid. Okay, it's otherwise known as the big hurt. Okay, and 1 is the thymus, which is aggression. The way the organs work is that there's 24 organs, and they progressively go deeper into the body. So the number 1 is the thymus, and the 24 is the lymphatic system. Okay, so the number 1 in your chain is like being pricked with a pin all the time. You know, it's just something very irritating. Wham, you know, and boy, you know what happens when you get stuck with a pin. You react right away. Okay, the number 24 is like being bludgeoned with a pillow or a feather. It's the same prick, but 1 is a pin, which is very, you know, it's like, whoa, I gotta you know, move away from that energy. And the other one, 24, is doing the same thing to you, only it's doing it little by little and whatever. You can cause a blister rubbing yourself with a feather. It just takes a lot longer. That's all. So this 22 is the parathyroid. So you see, it's way deep. It's deep into the body. It's something that takes a long time. So 22 is usually associated with being stabbed in the back by the least person that should be doing it to you. 22 is supposed to be a foundation. It's supportive. It's calcium and stones and tumors and hardness. Hence the school of hard knocks. And so you put that together with the tendency to be stabbed in the back with a 1, it's like, whoa, boy, you know, I don't get stabbed in the back once, I get stabbed in the back 3 times, you know, by somebody I least expected it to. So if it hasn't happened, we don't know what age, but the answer to the question is that if depending upon the current age that we're dealing with, let's say the age here was like 28. Let's say that it went from 17 to 28. All right, then we would really be on the lookout for this kind of a stabbing in the back situation. Or 22 and 1, it could have something to do with, it might even be bone cancer or something. I don't want to get into all that right now on this call. What number would breast cancer correspond with? Yes, the endocrine system. Very good, Suzanne. Yeah, 17. And also the number 8. Any other questions? We're just about done here. Looks like
I'd like to make a comment, Gary.
yes.
Regarding the last question about being able to identify the symptoms of the organs. When processing, the effects of processing can be experienced on multiple dimensions. It can be experienced physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, socially, what have you. So if, for instance, an individual has colon in the effect, I've had clients come to me and say, I don't know what's happening, but all of a sudden I'm having terrible pains in my abdominal area, and my bowels just won't stop. I keep having bowel movements, or the opposite. They become completely constipated. Or with organ 9, for instance, they wake up one morning after processing a couple times, and they wake up and all their bones and muscles ache, and they feel like they're 100 years old. And then after discharging the energies, next thing you know, the colon issues are gone, the bone and muscle issues are gone. So it's very precise in the way that it operates. So you can definitely recognize what physical metabolic issues might present themselves by looking at your chain.
Yes, I know it might be a stretch for some people. It's not a stretch for us who have been doing this for years, but it's so possible. It's so possible for a disease to manifest or a disease to disappear by realizing what the plan against your life is, how it's played out, and how you've been this patsy, and to be able to dissipate that, to be able to release you've been taking something personal all these years, you've internalized it, it finally manifested as some kind of a deep, dark disease thing, a part of your body and whatever, but what's feeding it and what's keeping it alive is more of the same. So when you figure all this out and you see the traumas and you see how it relates to the cause, and all these traumas are like invisible tumors, they all need to be removed. Once that energy quits feeding the dark side, a little spot in your body or whatever the case is, then it dies, because that's its nurturing. And so some people might see that as a miracle, but no, it's not. All right. Any?
Or maybe it is. Gary. Maybe it's all a miracle. The whole miracle of life. It is and it isn't, right?
That's right. Well, it's a doggone miracle that we figured all this stuff out. That's for darn sure. Sure. Or is it? Or is it? Okay. Somebody says there, what does the efficiency percentage mean? Okay, where would arthritis or osteoarthritis come in? Normally, we'll see 22. We'll see 22 in the chain.
Also, you'll have combinations of organs that create symptoms of osteoarthritis.
Exactly right. Yeah, there may nine's probably going to be involved.
Yeah, and maybe 22.
Yes, 22. Yeah, 22 for sure. See itis. The inflammation. Why do you have inflammation into your system? The reason is it's an inflammatory response. You've got some negative energy that is being internalized, that is being put into the system, and the body.
That would be organ 1.
Yes, yeah, 1 for sure. So what happens is that the body's got to release that energy, so it releases it in the form of heat, otherwise known as inflammation. Somebody wanted to know, somebody wanted to know what this, what the efficiency level is, right? This is our stab at just putting some kind of a value on how much the MemGram is with regard to what's in what the core issues are here on this particular level. What kind of an efficiency level that you're able to operate your life with, based on all this negativity and all this programming that all of us have received over our years. And so we give it an efficiency rating. We like to see this efficiency rating continue to improve on subsequent charts. But sometimes it'll go down as we start to detox this stuff. I mean, it may go from 75 all the way down to 65 or 55, whatever, before it comes back up again. So it's just a numerical value to be able to sort of look and see how we're doing. It doesn't have anything to do with your progress or how well you're putting two and two together. Question. If something occurs to someone and they fix their issues, will their malady go away? Yes. But I'm not telling you how long it's going to take. With the dropper supplement or dealing with it in or dealing with it in the other way. That was all part of that same question. All right, what we have here is you'll notice that on the chart, and I'm going to close the meeting here after this. We're out of time. On the chart here, it says consider these SPRX, 15, 9, and 1. 15 in the morning, 9 at noon, and number 1 just before you go to bed. And you'll notice that says 15, 9, and 1, and you'll notice that this person has 15, 9, and 1. That's where those come from. Okay, and what this will do is it'll help you get in touch with the past. It'll help the detox. It helps move the energy on throughout the body, and it could also be used as a break in times when all of a sudden you start dealing with this stuff and you start making changes and you get all kinds of feedback, negative feedback, people that are pushing back against you because you're not going to take it anymore, and blah 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 whatever, and life starts to go crazy. Then you can reverse these. Take 1, 2 minutes later, take 9, 2 minutes later, take 15. The reason for the 2 minutes is because that's a blood cycle in the body. And boy, it's the best doggone break. It's the best doggone tranquilizer you could ever have hanging around. Okay, I appreciate everybody. This meeting was an experiment, but it kind of worked out. We wanted to learn how to use GoToMeeting. It is what we're going to use from now on. I'm going to try to do this several times, at least weekly. I'm going to be in Hawaii for a month, starting Tuesday, which is why I wanted to get this done now. But I'll be doing them from over there. I'm a workaholic. If anybody who knows me understands that. So I love my work, and this is what we do. This is why I was put here, obviously. So I just keep doing it. I just keep changing locations from where I do it. So I appreciate everybody being on the call, taking your time. And we will be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.